So I was at a meeting with the leaders of several major institutional investment groups the other day, and we hit on a very controversial topic, and that is whether suburbia is making a comeback. At its heart, this is really a demographics and lifestyle question. The key ingredient to whether the suburbs are making a comeback is the millennial generation. Now, depending on where you draw the lines, there are between 70 and 80 million millennials. According to Pew Research, they made a cutoff of 1981 to 1996, which gives us a total of about 72 million millennials who are now between the ages of 23 and 38 years old. To put that in context, there are about 74 million baby boomers. So right in alignment there. Over the last 5 to 10 years, the mantra in real estate was live, work, play, implying that the millennial generation wanted to live in urban areas where they could literally walk between their home, their workplace, and the myriad activities available in the urban core. And yes, millennials do face many stereotypes and are still considered to be the kids in the workplace, but you gotta remember, the leading edge of millennials are now 38 years old, and the peak age for this cohort is now about 28 or 29 years old. And the other thing that happens around 28 or 29 years old today is marriage. I work with a lot of millennials myself, and a lot of them are now going to weddings for their friends as they come of age to make this lifestyle transition. And the question is whether millennials will go through their significant lifestyle changes, getting married and moving to the suburbs en masse as previous generations have. The appeal of the suburbs centers on the lower cost of living, as well as lower housing costs and better public education for kids. So if millennials are getting married and planning to have children, the suburbs start to have a lot more appeal. Forecasts point to suburban populations rising faster than urban areas, particularly for the young adult population. And we're starting to see this trend influence suburban office as well. Vacancy rate for suburban office space is down to a 13.5% vacancy rate. That's down about 200 basis points from 5 years ago. Now, downtown office space still has a lower vacancy rate at about 12.5%, but it's really only moved about 50 basis points in the last 5 years. So we see a stronger downward trajectory of suburban office space vacancies. Other property types like retail will also see a positive influence in demand as millennials move to the suburbs. So we could see some momentum there also. So this idea of a migration to suburbia is picking up more traction and visibility. For example, the recently released Urban Land Institute Emerging Trends reports focused on the reemergence of suburban office. So we're starting to see this more and more in a lot of the publications, and it is a trend that is still emerging. So investors, you still have an opportunity to get ahead of this curve. Walkable suburbs are particularly sought after, and if, as an investor, you believe millennials will follow the past generations in making the move to suburbia, then now could be an opportune time to consider additional investments in these areas.